Anastasia Nikolaevna Romanova, a name synonymous with mystery and intrigue. Anastasia's story has captivated the world for generations. Born into the opulence of the Russian imperial family in 1901, Anastasia's life was a study in contrasts. She was surrounded by unimaginable wealth and luxury, yet her life was also marked by profound tragedy. She experienced both unimaginable privilege and devastating loss, a duality that would define her short life. Her early years were marked by the grandeur of the Russian court, where she was treated like a princess in every sense of the word. Yet, fate had a cruel twist in store for the young Grand Duchess, one that would change the course of her life forever. Anastasia was the youngest daughter of Tsar Nicholas II and Tsarina Alexandra, the last ruling monarchs of Russia. She grew up amidst the splendor of palaces and the company of devoted servants who catered to her every need. Life was a whirlwind of lavish balls, idyllic summers at the family's estate, and the company of her siblings, who were her closest companions. Anastasia, known for her mischievous spirit and infectious laughter, brought joy to those around her. Her playful nature was a source of delight for her family and friends. Despite her privileged upbringing, Anastasia remained grounded, a testament to her character and the values instilled in her by her parents. She shared a close bond with her siblings, particularly her older sister Maria. The two were often seen together, their bond unbreakable. The two were inseparable, earning them the nickname the Little Pair. Their closeness was a source of comfort and strength for both girls. Anastasia's letters and diaries reveal a playful, affectionate girl who delighted in simple pleasures. Her writings offer a glimpse into her personality, full of wit and charm. However, the carefree days of childhood would soon be overshadowed by the gathering storm of revolution. The world around her was changing rapidly, and the Romanov family could not escape the tides of history. The year was 1905, and Russia was on the brink of upheaval. The political landscape was shifting, and the stability of the Romanov dynasty was under threat. The Russo-Japanese War and growing social unrest cast a long shadow over the Romanov dynasty. The once unassailable power of the Tsar was now being questioned by the people. Even within the confines of the palace walls, the rumblings of discontent were impossible to ignore. The Romanovs were acutely aware of the growing tensions and the impact it would have on their lives. Anastasia's privileged beginnings were a stark contrast to the turbulent times that lay ahead. Her story is a poignant reminder of the fragility of power and the enduring human spirit. The Romanovs, despite their imperial status, were a close-knit family. They shared a bond that transcended their royal duties and public image, finding solace and joy in each other's company. Tsar Nicholas II, although burdened by the weight of his responsibilities, was a devoted father. He cherished the moments he could spend with his children, often seen playing with them or teaching them about the world. Tsarina Alexandra, often misjudged by the public, showered her children with affection. Her love for them was evident in the way she cared for their needs and nurtured their spirits, always ensuring they felt valued and loved. Together they created a loving home for their 5 children, Olga, Tatiana, Maria, Anastasia, and Alexei. Each child brought their unique personality to the family dynamic, enriching their daily lives with laughter and warmth. Life at the Alexander Palace, their primary residence, revolved around family. The palace, with its grand halls and beautiful gardens, was a place where the Romanovs could retreat from the pressures of the outside world. Days were filled with lessons, outdoor activities, and shared meals. Education was highly valued, and the children were taught by the best tutors, learning languages, history, and the arts. The children enjoyed simple pleasures, playing tennis, riding bicycles, and putting on plays. These activities allowed them to experience a semblance of normal childhood despite their royal status. Evenings were often spent together, reading aloud or playing music. These moments of togetherness were cherished, as they provided a break from the formalities of court life and allowed the family to bond over shared interests. Religion played a central role in the Romanov household. Their faith was a cornerstone of their daily routine, guiding their actions and providing a sense of purpose and stability. The family faithfully observed Orthodox Christian traditions. They attended church services regularly and celebrated religious holidays with great reverence and devotion. Anastasia, like her siblings, was deeply religious. Her faith was a source of comfort and strength, especially during the more challenging times in her life. She found solace in her faith, especially during times of hardship. Her belief in a higher power helped her navigate the uncertainties and fears that came with being part of the royal family. This strong religious upbringing would later become a source of strength during their captivity. The family's faith provided them with hope and resilience in the face of adversity. However, the ideal of family life could not shield the Romanovs from the political realities of the time. The outside world was changing rapidly, and the pressures of ruling a nation in turmoil weighed heavily on them. Russia was a nation divided. The social and economic disparities were growing, and the calls for change were becoming louder and more insistent. The Tsar's autocratic rule and the growing gap between the rich and poor fueled discontent. The people were demanding more rights and a better quality of life, leading to increasing unrest and protests. As social unrest escalated, the Romanov family found themselves increasingly isolated from the world outside the palace walls. The once vibrant and bustling court became a place of solitude and uncertainty as the family grappled with the changing tides of history. The turn of the 20th century was a time of great upheaval. Societies across the continent were experiencing rapid changes, both socially and politically. The old ways were being questioned and new ideas were beginning to take hold. Across Europe, empires crumbled as new ideologies took root. The aftermath of World War I left many nations in disarray, struggling to rebuild and redefine themselves in a rapidly changing world. Russia, a vast and sprawling empire, was not immune to these forces of change. The country was a patchwork of different cultures and ethnicities, all under the rule of the Tsar. The Russo-Japanese War of 1904 to 1905 exposed the weaknesses of the Tsarist regime, both militarily and politically. The unexpected defeat by a smaller, less established nation was a blow to Russian pride and highlighted the inefficiencies within the government and military. The defeat in the war further fueled public anger. The people were already discontent with the autocratic rule, and the war's failure only intensified their frustrations. Anti-government protests erupted across the country, demanding political reform and an end to Tsarist autocracy. The streets were filled with voices calling for change, and the unrest spread like wildfire. The Tsar, reluctant to relinquish his absolute power, responded with a mix of repression and concession. He attempted to quell the unrest with force, but also made some concessions to appease the masses. He agreed to the formation of a parliament, the Duma, but its powers were limited. The Duma was more of a symbolic gesture than a real shift in power, and it did little to satisfy the demands of the people. Meanwhile, a new and dangerous force was emerging, the Bolsheviks. This radical faction of the Russian socialist movement was gaining momentum and support. Led by the charismatic Vladimir Lenin, the Bolsheviks advocated for a communist revolution. Lenin's vision was clear and uncompromising, and he was a masterful orator who could inspire and mobilize the masses. They promised land, peace and bread to the weary Russian people who had grown disillusioned with the Tsar's rule. The promise of a better future resonated deeply with the suffering populace. The Bolsheviks' message resonated with the masses, setting the stage for a violent confrontation. The tension in the air was palpable, and it was clear that a major upheaval was imminent. As the political climate grew increasingly volatile, the Romanov family remained largely insulated within the confines of their palaces. They continued their lavish lifestyle, seemingly oblivious to the storm brewing outside. However, they were not entirely oblivious to the dangers lurking outside. The growing unrest and the rise of the Bolsheviks were impossible to ignore completely. The assassination of Grigory Rasputin, a controversial holy man who had gained significant influence over Tsarina Alexandra in 1916, served as a chilling reminder of the growing threat to their safety. Rasputin's death was a clear indication that the old order was under siege and the days of the Romanov dynasty were numbered.